Well, hi, Jenna.
Well, hi, Shelby.
How are you today?
Oh, pretty good. Welcome back to Miss Willow's Book Club podcast.
Welcome back, guys. What are we reading today?
We're reading everyone's favorite, The Court of Mist and Fury. I feel like so many people say this is their favorite book of all time. And after rereading it, kind of reminds me why it can take that place on people's shelves.
Me too. I absolutely loved reading this one again.
Yeah, it was better than I remembered, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah.
I am shocked by how much I forgot.
Oh, so much. I did not remember a lot of. I remembered the highlights. You know?
Same.
Like coming and going big places maybe, but that was really all I remembered.
Same.
So there was a lot. There was a lot that was new, and there was a lot that I was reading differently this time too.
Me
so
too.
That was good.
Yeah, there was a lot more that I caught on this one. So how did you rate this one?
I still rated it 5 stars.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without
Good old 5
question.
stars. I
Yes.
love it.
Oh, that was 5 stars for you too.
Oh, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah. Even though I've read it before, it's definitely one of my favorite books of all time, I think. Which is funny because, like, I have friends that haven't read the series before, and so when they're reading this and they, like, have only read ACOTAR, I was like, please just give the second one. Like, even if you didn't like the first one, like, please keep reading.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta push through for sure.
It just gets better and better.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me how you tapped this book?
Yes.
So it looks like you also have
quite
a few colors going on there.
I do. Okay, so I tabbed this book. I can actually get to the page. So I have green as history. I think I did that before too. Blue as foreshadowing, like a very light, like orangey yellow as quotes. My pink is important thoughts. Dark purple is Rhysand. And then it's like a really light yellowy, I have character descriptions. How did you tab this one?
Nice. I don't think I kept any of the same colors as I did last time. Yeah. For my very light pink, it was like sweet moments, like loving moments. The orange was pivotal history or like pivotal moments. So kind of just like large things happening. The darker orange was people's powers or powers of different courts. Hot pink was sketchy. Light green was people's descriptions or like family lines or like anything kind of along that front.
Oh, I like that.
Purple was creatures and items. So like the cauldron I included in creatures.
Okay.
Light blue was world building and courts. Dark blue was crossover. And then purple was quotes.
I love it. I love the quotes. I felt like there were a lot.
There's a lot from this one. Yeah.
A lot of like really well known quotes.
Yes. Don't let the hard days win.
Oh my gosh. And the shirt that I wore for the last episode, I had
the stars you listen. Yep. I know. There's a lot of quotes from this book that I think are pretty widely used.
I think so too. I love it. So for people who have listened to our last episode and who have read ACOTAR, in ACOMAF here, we are now after where Feyre has turned into a high fae, and now she's back at the Spring Court.
Yes.
So that's where we're starting things off today. And just kind of a reminder, this is going to be spoilers for basically all SJM stuff.
Yeah, heavy spoilers for ACOTAR and Crescent City, and probably some minor spoilers for Throne of Glass as well. Yeah. So if you have not read all of those books, you're either going to get spoiled or come back later.
Because I feel like it's too tough. Like, since now it's pretty widely known that they're all together, it's like now we can see a bunch of different connections, and I would hate to spoil something for somebody else.
Yeah. So. Well, and it's funny because even just the fact that everybody says, oh, spoilers for all SJM.
It's like,
that is a spoiler in and of itself.
Yeah. I know.
Which I feel bad. I always said this last time. It makes me feel so sad for people that are picking up now because there's like a little bit of that getting ruined. But
right, because when I started reading it, this wasn't like it wasn't widely known.
Well, Hosab wasn't out yet.
No, it wasn't, and that's the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. So but after this point, we're gonna have spoilers.
So spoilers for everything, but we're only covering really the content from Mist and Fury.
Yeah. Yay. Oh my gosh.
Well, where do you want to start?
I know. I was literally just thinking the same thing. I was like, there's so much going on.
Well, okay. I feel like for me, do you want to start with some plot points and some thoughts, or you want to start with some like information.
Oh, I guess. So one of the first things that I was a little surprised about was when Feyre is back in the spring court with Tam, she had made it very known how unhappy she was, and I didn't remember that.
Yeah, I kind of didn't remember her being quite so vocal.
Yeah, but she says it multiple times to Tamlin and to Lucien, how unhappy she is, and she was like, please don't leave me. Exactly.
Feyre clearly communicates what she needed from Lucien and Tamlin, and they just don't follow through.
Right.
And I understand that they are dealing with their own trauma and fallout from that, but it was such a stark difference seeing how Tamlin and Lucien handle their trauma versus how Rhys was handling his trauma.
Right.
And while obviously neither of them were perfect across the board, Tamlin's was a lot more destructive, I think, to Feyre's healing. And it was just so sad because there were like so many moments you could see even from the first time that she gets snagged and is like in night court with Rhys, or court of nightmares, I guess, with Rhys. And I remember thinking it was funny that she didn't even bother to lock her door. She's like, well, I mean, if he wants to come in, then he will. And she sleeps like a baby, right? But the first time that she was in spring court with Tamlin, she was like barricading the door even though she knew it wouldn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting too. There's a lot of moments like that of, I don't know. And even from the beginning, Rhys is like paying closer attention to how Feyre is like responding or reacting to stimulus. And you know what I mean? Like, oh, he's like crowding her or something.
And then he'll step back.
Yeah, he like steps back because he sees that she's freaked out by that, or I don't know. And Tamlin's just oblivious.
Well, and then there's what I hated was there was actually a point where she was having these nightmares, right? She's having these nightmares that wake her up every single night, and she's throwing her guts up.
Yep.
And she gets back into the room and she says, like, that he might be going through the same thing. I think he's just pretending he's asleep. Like, sometimes I see his chest move in different rhythms and I know he's actually asleep, but he's not up and helping her. Like, they might be going through the same thing, but he never actually does anything to like help her heal. Right.
Well, because she says that sometimes he wakes up and does the same thing, but like they're both basically just ignoring it for each other.
I
like
know.
So unhealthy.
So unhealthy. Just like completely ignoring the problem.
Like not gonna fix anything.
That makes me think about like, so we had this TikTok, right? That was like, everybody was saying how unredeemable that Tamlin is. Do you feel that way after reading A Court of Mist and Fury?
No, I mean, I feel like if you can forgive Rhys for what he has done, and you can forgive Hunt for what he has done, how can you not forgive Tamlin? I get that he's a shit. I mean, he's not like a nice guy in this book. Yeah, he's out of control in this book. But you know what? Rhys has some out of control moments too. Remember, he has to apologize to Feyre in this. And maybe that's the difference is that, but I mean, Tamlin apologized too. I don't know. Yeah. He's worse, but
I didn't love him in this book. Right. I thought that what he was doing was unacceptable. And I didn't like that he didn't help Feyre heal, even when she specifically asked for it. But I don't think he was like completely irredeemable.
I don't think he was irredeemable either. I think he was just stupid. Like even with the King of Highburn and like trying to make that deal to get her back or whatever, he didn't know that the sisters were going to be involved. And he was also saying, stop, don't do that. I don't want this to happen. Like, this wasn't part of the deal. This isn't supposed to be happening. Like, yeah, he's kind of a dick, but I don't think he's irredeemable.
Right. Because this entire time they think that Feyre has this like mask over her. And so of course he's trying to like get her back and save her. He thinks that her thoughts aren't her own, but like, were his actions right? No, definitely not. But he's not a horrible guy. He just has also been through trauma and doesn't know how to work through it.
Yes. Therapy. Yeah. Everybody in Prythian needs therapy.
Everybody with all these wars and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, Tamlin.
I love that Tamlin tries to make like painting therapy for Feyre, which was just another point of comparison between Rhys and Tamlin that I thought was so funny because Tamlin basically tries to use this as a band-aid, right? He's like, oh, here's some painting supplies. Can't you act like you did before? Like,
I know nothing changed, before,
right? Like just completely ignores the fact that like maybe she's not interested in it versus Rhys is like inspiration for painting for her. Like,
I know
that doesn't push her into it at all, but she keeps seeing him in, you know, certain poses and stuff and being like, oh, I actually want to do that again.
Right. Rhys actually never pushes it. I don't even think once.
He does not.
He doesn't. He's like, she'll do it on her own time if she wants to do it. And she had clearly also made it known to him that she wasn't really ready to get back to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also noticed that comparison too. He was like, here you go, here's a brand new traveling paint set. You want to do this? And she's like seething and like foaming at the mouth.
She's like, no, I don't. I want to help people. I don't want to be sitting here painting and planning parties. And that's the other thing that I think was interesting is, you know, you aren't the same person after trauma, and Feyre wasn't either.
No, definitely not.
And her having to come over that and realize that her wants and needs might be different after that experience of not only going through that, but also becoming Fae and literally being a new person with new powers and new everything, and like kind of having to reassess what she wants out of her life. Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody
it's just so
feel that.
It's so tough. And there was actually a quote that she had said to Rhys. Okay, so it's basically before she goes to meet the inner circle, like at the dinner, and Rhys goes like thought for thought. Mm-hmm. And she goes, I was so high above everything, because they just flown up there, that no one save Rhys and the wind could hear. But I said, I'm thinking that I must have been a fool in love to allow myself to be shown so little of the spring court. I'm thinking there's a great deal of that territory I was never allowed to see or hear about, and maybe I would have lived in ignorance forever like some pet. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking that I was a lonely, hopeless person, and I might have fallen in love with the first thing that showed me a hint of kindness and safety. And I'm thinking maybe he knew that. Maybe not actively, but maybe he wanted to be that person for somebody. And maybe that worked for who I was before, but it doesn't work for who or what I am now.
Yes, that was the exact quote that I had highlighted too.
Oh my, I had like chills. I was like, it's kind of the first time she's realizing that like I am completely changed, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go back to being the person that I was before. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Also, that like thought for a thought things that they had a couple times. The band, I forgot how good the banter in this book is. It's so cute. Like when, oh my gosh, when she's learning to read, I remembered that part, you know, like Rhys is the most handsome High Lord and all that stuff. But I kind of forgot about the, like writing notes back and forth.
I did
and, like
too.
The disappearing and coming back part. I totally forgot about that, and it was so cute. There was so much flirting and like much tension. I totally forgot how much of that happened, and like their dynamic when they're in summer court was so cute.
When they were both getting so jealous.
It's so amped up, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
It's so cute.
I loved that so much, the jealousy between them, because at that point, they've been flirting back and forth for quite a while. And then she was like, oh, maybe I do like him. And she's like, oh, mad. And she's like, well, fine, I'll go flirt with Tarquin then.
Yes. If
I just give him some smiles.
I know. Which, okay, what did you think of Tarquin and her, like, dynamic? Like, pretend Rhys wasn't there.
I didn't think it was as flirty as I remembered it being.
Same.
Like, I felt like she was actually being more flirty than he was. And that to me was a little surprising, because that's not how I remembered it.
I know. I remembered it being more flirty, and it more just seemed like easy friends.
Yeah, it did.
Like so quickly. Like they were just, I don't know, like their dynamic, they got along easily. Yeah. And before the blood rubies.
Oh, I know. Oh, the whole, I think it would be really easy to love you.
Yes.
I thought that was so sweet, because I feel like this book does a really good portrayal, and kind of ACOTAR in general, of like friendship love.
Yes.
And like not all love needs to be romantic. Like you can love your friends and like say I love you and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And
I love you, Shelby.
I love you, Jenna.
Yeah, this is a good found family book for sure,
really
too.
Good. On the note, kind of talking about like the flirting and stuff though, like did you remember how cunning and sarcastic that Rhys was?
I didn't remember how dirty his like comments were.
Yeah. Me neither.
I mean, kind of favorite too, though. I really didn't remember that at all. Being
me
quite
neither.
Like that.
I was so surprised. Like there were multiple times where he was just like, he's like, I wish you were licking my wounds. Ew, gross. Or
I'll give you something else to lick. That's what my husband would say.
Or my favorite was when she was looking at that tattoo and she's like, I can just scream into it. And she's like, what if I just rubbed it? He's like, it would work better if you rubbed it on a certain part of your body.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
But then he would also say stuff like, you're my salvation, Feyre.
Yeah.
I forgot how much I loved Rhys. I think because when we read Silver Flames, like, it honestly kind of like changed my perspective of Rhys and Feyre.
It did.
And going back to seeing it firsthand, I was like, this is why he's my number one book boyfriend.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I still really like him, but I still don't know. I'm not sure who I could say my number one is. He's in the top, but but I got to read through Frost and Starlight again too.
Yeah, because there
was some stuff there where I was like,
yeah,
so
like, maybe not the best.
Yeah. Well, okay, so another thing that I feel like sunk in a little bit more this time that I didn't really think too much about the first time I read this. So is it Ninsar? Is that's the same thing as Starfall, right?
Yes.
And there were two separate mentions of Amarantha in relation to Starfall. And the first one was that Rhys, when he was talking about that he hadn't been a part of it. It might have even when she was still in Spring Court. And somebody said that it was banned on a whim by Amarantha, and it was one of the first Fae holidays. It was just a minor holiday, quote unquote, just a minor holiday that was banned by Amarantha, so nobody had celebrated it in 50 years. And then a little bit later, as we get closer to actual Starfall, then I think it was maybe Amren says that Starfall disturbed Amarantha for whatever reason, and no one really knows why.
Oh my gosh.
But there was on page 64 and 431 that they talked about it, but there was a couple mentions of her being weirded out by it. And since there's also so many comments about it being like a yearly migration of spirits and there's fewer stars falling now than there were before. Yeah. It makes me wonder if Starfall is actually something like between realms or something, and Amarantha knew what it was, and that's why she was so weird about it. Okay. Or maybe the King of Hybern knew what it was going on. But my gosh. Maybe that's actually how like other creatures are getting into Perithian, or I don't know. Like I have no idea, but it stuck out that Amarantha was so weirded out by Starfall as an event.
That she is so interesting. There are lots of theories going around that Amarantha was not a High Fae and she was something else. Yeah. Maybe from another universe. Maybe that's how she got in. Yeah. Yeah. So that's so interesting.
It was just, we'll see. I don't know if it'll come back, but because it's such a big holiday and stuff too, and now she's like curious.
Oh my gosh.
Very curious.
I wonder if anybody else has any theories like that too about either Amarantha or why she wouldn't like Starfall or what the heck is going on there.
I mean, I got a lot of separate theories about Amarantha, but Starfall in particular was the one where I was like, interesting. I don't remember that getting closed off at any point. So, and especially since we know that Aelin falling through the worlds that was Starfall. That's the other reason why I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's something.
Oh my gosh. Kind of on that track a little bit, I saw a theory going around on TikTok about Starfall. Do you remember when the two stars hit Rhys and Feyre in the face? Yes. And they were rubbing it all over each other, and it was I like laughing, pictured like
smiling for the first time. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So there's a theory that the two stars on Starfall that hit them in the face was Rhys's mother and sister giving them a little push to get together. Oh, isn't that so sweet?
That's really sweet.
Like, because at this point, like, they've been like bickering and arguing, and she's like, I said I liked you, and then you ghosted me, and she like didn't hear from him for days and shows up at Starfall. She's finally ready to like tell him her feelings. Yes. And then it's like, come on guys, get together. Like, you guys, you know that this is going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And then they dance sweetly all night.
Oh, that's so cute. And I think that this, when the star hits her in the face, the first time Feyre says, I genuinely laughed. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how unhappy I had been. And that's truly the word for it, was unhappy. Yeah. Oh, my heart.
I know.
My heart.
So sweet.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
So, okay, I have one more question for you because I don't really remember this. So this is like going a little higher level here.
I love it.
Court powers. Yes. So we have winter, which is ice. Yep. Spring, shape-shifting. Yep. Summer is water. Autumn is flames. Mm-hmm. Day is wind and spell breaking.
Yes, and her glowing.
No.
Or was that dawn?
I thought that the glowing was starlight from Night Court.
I thought he said it was from either day or dawn.
Oh, well, so that answers my question then, because I couldn't remember what power dawn had. But I thought maybe it was healing. I don't know why I thought I remembered that.
I think the glowing is the healing. I think it's like glowing and healing.
Oh, when she's like glowing in chapter 55? That's... Oh, okay. I didn't know that was healing power that's coming out. I think it was both, because I thought they said it was starlight, not sunlight.
I don't think it was starlight. What she does say during chapter 55 is that it was a stark contrast between the night and the... So I think it was the night and the... Maybe it was day. Day, dawn, dusk.
Well... we'll get there too.
Wait.
We'll get there. But
oh man.
Yeah. So a day has other ones. I don't remember what dawn was. That was all.
Maybe it's dawn.
Maybe we can go back and check. I was like pretty sure it was starlight was what it was supposed to be.
Let me look at chapter 55.
Okay. She says, shining. I was shining bright and pure as a star. Day court, I asked. I don't care, he said roughly. So that's not confirmation to me.
Oh.
I don't know.
I thought that was confirmation.
I mean,
but yeah, the way you just said it is probably not.
But that's also why I don't know what Dawn Court does unless it was healing, which for some reason I have that in my mind, but I don't remember. That didn't happen in this book.
No, it doesn't happen in this book.
So I don't know what Dawn does.
Interesting. I guess maybe we'll find out a little bit more later.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I also, so there was another point on the courts though that I didn't notice the first time. So on page 55, when Rhys is talking about, or I think it's Rhys, is talking about the courts, and he's saying, the nature of seasonal courts is linked to the High Lords, but solar courts, day, dawn, and night, are more of a ... symbolic nature. We're powerful, but even we cannot alter the sun's path or strength. So I thought that was maybe interesting too, to be like separating those, just because dawn is potentially the one that doesn't fit in there. I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird.
I know, because there's been a lot of talk about the Dusk Court, but we might actually...
Or Dusk, yeah, that's what I meant. Yep.
Yeah. Because Dusk isn't on there when he talks about it.
Yeah.
But is that... Let's see. Looking at the map, we have Night Court, Day Court, Dawn Court, and then you have Under the Mountain. Winter, summer, autumn, spring.
Yeah. But later on, and I think I have this maybe another spot, when they're going to the prison... Yeah. They do talk about that the prison was from before Perinthium was what it was, and that like went back when Mor's family ruled. And on page 193, Rhys mentions that some people say it used to be an 8th court. So I think that the prison is where Dusk is. Dusk or Twilight or whatever they're going to call it. That'd
be very interesting, because then he also goes to talk about when they're going to the prison, that the prison is like its own court, and once you're there, it rules himself. Yeah. He goes, I technically rule over it.
Because you're closest or something. Yeah.
Or is he ruling over it because he's a prince of hell?
Yeah.
And he rules over the bad things like the devil does.
Going back to, we talked about this, I know, in the ACOTAR episode too. Again, so many feline characteristics for Rhys.
And then Feyre starts doing it at the end of the book. Did you notice that?
Only when she's trying to mimic him is when I noticed it.
There were a couple of points where she was talking to him and having a conversation, and she'd say, I purred to Rhys. Or like she was talking to other people and she'd say like I purred or I crawled or did something. Because I really took note of it this time, because I noticed at the very end of the book like she started acting like it too.
I didn't notice that as much. I guess I noticed like there was a few times when she was like, oh, I was trying to like mimic his confidence or something, or his nonchalance and stuff. And so I like in the meetings with the human queens and stuff. But yeah, I didn't catch that.
That would be interesting, though. But I was definitely 100% thinking about that with the prison. Because I was like, if it's technically another court, but you still, like, oversee it, that'd be interesting. A High Lord that, like, sees over multiple courts.
Well, and because they talk about how Rhys... when Lucian and Tamlin are being kind of concerned about Rhys, and when Feyre, I think, is listening in, like, kind of behind closed doors, and she hears them talk about how Rhys basically could overpower the other 6 combined.
Yes.
So, because in their concern over, like, if he were to try and do something, that he would be stronger than everybody else combined. So it still leaves that question of, how did a half-breed Illyrian and High Fae become that much more powerful than anybody else?
I also wonder the same thing. And every time he would talk about his parents or his history or anything, I'm like, okay, but like, where does all of this power come from? Because he says his dad is powerful, but like, he doesn't ever go into description about like how powerful he is or who his dad is. Where like, when he talks about his mom, he talks about like, she was an Illyrian and she loved to fly and she was just like so full of joy in life and everything. But like, I would love to know more about his dad.
Yeah, all we know is that he was a High Lord of the Night Court. And I don't think that we know anything about when the power transitioned from Mor's family to Rhys's family either.
No, I don't think we do.
We just know that at some point in the far history, Mor's family ruled. So that's another thing I'm kind of curious about, is when did that swap happen and why?
Yeah, I completely agree. I have lots of questions about Mor.
Yes. Oh my god.
My gosh. We're always on the same track.
Once again, with all of the like, my power is the truth. What does that mean?
What does
that mean? I don't understand. All I picture when I see or when I hear any of the like, oh, I'm the Morrigan and my power is the truth, is that Schitt's Creek meme. This fold in the cheese, but I don't know what that means. Can you show me what that means? No, I don't know. You just have to fold it in.
I still don't know what that means.
So yes, I had a couple pages that I want to talk about from that, because there was a couple pages with the human queens
and they were just blown away
that it was her.
You're Morrigan from the war.
Right.
Like, that's you. Oh my goodness. And they're completely blown away. But
yeah, but I didn't understand, because we don't know what she did exactly during the war to earn that respect.
No.
First of all.
But we know when Feyre first meets her and he's like, oh, Mor is my second. And she immediately goes, wow, if she has all of this power that she's your second and she's above all of these other people who have these great powers, like, she must be extremely powerful.
Well, okay, so this is what Mor says when she looks at them. She goes, I am the Morrigan. You know me, what I am. You know my gift is the truth. So you will hear my words now and know them as the truth, as your ancestors once did. So I don't know if it's just that everybody like believes her. I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, which was so odd.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, you're going to believe her because of what her title is? Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And then when they're using what's it called? The Veritas or something?
Yes. Like the orb.
The orb, yes. To show the human queens that Valaris is a real place and that it's like,
which,
whatever.
Fuck those queens.
Oh, yeah, fuck those queens. But it was interesting because they were saying that it had like her family's truth power. So it sounds like it's not even just her. It's like her family as a whole.
Right. Because they had to go steal the Veritas from her dad.
In the Court of Nightmares.
Right. Because it like their family owns it. But like, why does that equal the truth? Like, is that Mor's power? Is the Veritas, the whatever?
Great question.
Also, did you notice how many times that people call her a liar?
No.
There's a really big one at the very end of the book where Jurian comes back and he goes, you always were a liar, Mor.
Yeah.
Mor. And I think he says Mor and not Morrigan. Like, he knows her personally.
Well, because she was friends with the Miriam, or is that what her name was?
Yes.
Miriam, the woman who like left Jurian for what is it, like Drogon or Droken something?
Prince Draken.
Draken. Yeah, it was close. It was a D.
Yeah, you were close. You're very close.
She wanted the D. but yeah, so, and Mor helped hide them on the island. So I thought that that's what Jurian was talking about, was like that he knew that she was lying because he knows that she helped his ex.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I wonder if there's like more of a history with that because Jurian's old, like very, very old.
From the original or from the war 500 years before.
Exactly. And so he probably was around when like everything happened with her and Eris and Cassian and all like building the wall and everything like that. So I thought that was crazy. Like, you always were a liar, Morgan. Like, wow, that's interesting if your power is truth. Like, there were a couple of times in the books that was just like, oh, you're a liar, Mor. Like, well, that's interesting if your power is truth.
Yeah.
Like,
I really hope we find out what that means because it's been driving me nuts.
Me too, especially because she just completely disappears in Silver Flames and we just have no idea what's going on.
Oh, I don't remember that, but I'll find out. Speaking of old, though, let's talk about Amren.
Oh my goodness gracious. Amren!
She threw me off even more this time reading
Yes, me too.
So, we know she's older than 5,000 years, at least.
Yep.
We know at some point she was in the prison and escaped the prison by gaining this body of Fae.
Right.
And we know that she has silver eyes and, you know, hoards jewels and whatever, right?
Yep.
But I didn't remember how many powers she seems to have. And I don't understand where they come from or what she is. Because we've got a part where she burns and busts through the door when they're locked in the underwater box or whatever.
I have that part tabbed too.
She magically cleans Feyre when Feyre comes back and is nasty after seeing the Weaver and it's got like the grease and human hair and whatever.
I didn't even catch that she did that.
She like snaps and cleans Feyre with magic.
Whoa, okay.
She heals somebody towards the end of the book.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yes.
I did not catch that.
And she also puts illusions out on like people who are like flying in and attacking Valaris. She puts illusions in their mind to like try and fight them, right?
Yep. That's what I remembered from her that was her big power, but I didn't realize she had
That's a lot of powers. So I don't and like not all of those I think are regular Fae powers either. So it's not even like, oh, you adopted this through there.
Right.
And so that was really weird. And I also kind of forgot how much she gets compared to Feyre. Yeah. Like I know they're both made, but there's a point even I don't remember where it was. There's a point where somebody in the Court of Nightmares, I think it was, that smells her and says that and like makes a comment that she smells like Amren. She's like, oh, there's another one of those like.
Oh my gosh.
Page 444. Let me pull it up because it was it was another like.
You're like, what? Where did that come from?
He goes, another like that ... creature you bring here. I thought she was the only of her ilk. And then Rhys goes, Amren sends her regards. So clearly he's comparing it's Devlin that smells.
Oh, yes.
Feyre and says that. So that was the other piece I thought was interesting. Is like, why? I get that they're both made, but Amren and Feyre, I get a lot of comparisons.
Wow. I didn't even take note of that. That's wild. One of the things that Rhys says about Amren is, I think it was Rhys that says it. Yeah. He goes, only a fool would think my Illyrian warriors were the apex predators of our circle. You'll see what I mean when you meet Amren. She looks high fae, but something different prowls beneath her skin. She might be older than this city, but she's vain and likes to hoard her baubles and belongings like a fire drake in a cave. So be on your guard. You both have tempers when provoked, and I don't want you to have any surprises tonight. And when we talk about how she left the prison and how long ago that was, like, she's clearly not from this world, but do you have thoughts of what she could be?
I don't know. It's a great question because it makes it, when they talk about her like that, it makes her sound like she's as old as like the bone carver or the weaver or anything else like that.
Definitely.
I want to wait maybe to answer what I think she is until after I reread ACOTAR, because I know that she comes out like in her true form. Yeah. And like fights a little bit. And I kind of want to pick up some cues from that. Yeah. Before I think I'll know what I don't know, any opinions on what she is.
I like that. That's a really good idea. It reminded me, so when we were talking about like the prison and everything, how Rhys describes the prison, he said that like years and years and years and years ago, there were rips in the world and creatures would walk through, and that's how they would get into the prison.
Yep.
What does that make you think of? It makes me think of both Throne of Glass and Crescent City.
Yes, I know. It makes me think, and you read Throne of Glass more recently, so
I did, yeah.
But I kind of remember at some point, like, Aelin having to save somebody who went through some type of portal, and there's some creatures attacking on the other side, and like through a portal to some other realm or something. That's what that was down.
Yes, that was in the dungeon of the basement. That was literally in Throne of Glass. Like,
was it
the first freaking book?
Was it? I did not remember that was that early.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well.
Because she's still like, okay, no spoilers for Throne of Glass like that, but
I mean, we kind of talk about stuff anyways. It's okay.
Well, and then also in Crescent City with the gates, which are like basically just like portals to another realm.
Yeah, I've got some thoughts on that too.
Me too. I can't wait to reread that one too. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, she clearly walked in from another world, but like, I'm so curious because she doesn't eat normal food.
Yeah, she drinks blood, which she says reminds her of older times or other times. And
so stuff. You know what that makes me think of? Stealing energy from other people.
Was it Asteri? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking maybe a god, honestly.
Oh, people have said that she's an archangel. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so maybe I need to read ACOTAR and reread Crescent City, but to fill in some gaps. But yeah, but also people compare Amren to Fury a lot because they have a lot of similar like physical characteristics. But Amren chose this body, right? I guess we don't know that Fury didn't
because she liked it.
Yeah. So I'm curious too to see where that goes because we know like nothing about Fury.
No.
She's always gone. That's all we know.
Always gone, which is hilarious because on our theory talking about the mercenary, everybody thought it was Fury. Which, like, who knows? Because Bryce is always described as tall. So is Hunt. And we don't know that much about Fury. Like,
nope.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
That'd be so interesting with all this world walking.
Oh, so on that note, actually, as I was, opening up the discussion to Winnowing in this book, right? Because that's like kind of, I don't remember. It might have happened once or twice in ACOTAR, but
not as much as this one.
Yeah, it happens a lot in this one. So there's a lot more discussion about it, and like as they're talking about the feel of it, it's like, oh, you can feel the fabric of the world or whatever as you're like going through it, and they talk about how it's like pinching two pieces of place together and like stepping through, and that if you go further you might feel a little bit whatever.
Yeah.
But who says that it has to be within the same world? What if that is what world walking is? What if it's just winnowing, but like for stronger people, and they can go further, and that they can winnow between realms, not just between points in the world? Because they talk about,
be so wild.
Yeah, because they talk about this like the strength of whatever the person or their magic is like dependent then on like they can go further when they're winnowing. So maybe really strong people, that's how they can winnow between worlds, and maybe that's what Maeve was able to do that Dorian took away.
Yes. How he like locked her in one world if he took that away from her. Oh my god. That would be so interesting, but also that could also be, do you remember when Aelin was falling and Rhys winks at her?
Yeah.
Maybe because he knows because they might have met before, or he's also done the same thing, so he knows exactly what's happening.
Oh, you think that Rhys is aware that there's other worlds out there?
Mm-hmm. Especially if he's a Prince of Hell.
Oh God, I hadn't even really thought about the consequence of that if he is a Prince of Hell, of like those pieces.
Right.
Because he really only seems interested in this world.
Yeah, he does, because he rules over it. But we all, like in Crescent City, we see the Princes of Hell in like a different dimension, but they're able to like talk to people in different dimensions and whatnot. Yeah. Because that demon shows up as a cat.
I hadn't really thought about that aspect of it. That's true.
It's so fun that like discussions like this too like bring up like different questions and stuff that I have, and I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about that?
Yeah, that's the only thing that I really felt, because there were when they were winnowing, there were so many comments about like, oh, we tumbled through the realms, or we could feel the space in between us. Like,
I know, it's like
it's gotta be
like, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, there was so much more history in this book than there was in ACOTAR.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Well, the world has opened up a lot more, and Feyre is more curious to what's happening in the world in this book.
Yeah,
because she comments on that too. Where in the quote that you read actually, where she's like, I might have stayed, blind to it.
Yeah, I love it.
So we definitely learn a lot more in this one.
So much more, and you realize just like, kind of like how we were talking about in ACOTAR, that Feyre is a little bit of a unreliable narrator, and like. What you don't know, you really don't know. And I feel like there's so much we don't know about all these characters. Like Azriel. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. My number one shadow daddy.
I need Az's book before he can take that title.
I noticed so much more about Az in this book.
Same.
Holy crap. I thought that he was just kind of more of like this back character.
No. He was more prominent than I remembered also.
Same. Mm-hmm.
But he hasn't done quite enough yet.
Not enough for you?
Not yet. But maybe he does in the other books and I just don't remember. We'll find out. I also didn't get the copy of Silver Flames. Is it Silver Flames? That has the Azriel bonus chapter. So I haven't read that. I don't know.
I haven't
I
either.
need to find it on the internet. But
yeah, same. I haven't read that one either. But I noticed in this book for sure that before Az would like say something or make a move, he would like listen in, and he like actually like listens to the shadows, and I did not notice that the first time.
Yeah, they're like constantly like, I don't know, playing around him
right
too, and yeah, like literally feeding him information,
which is interesting because in one part of the book Feyre was talking about Nuala and Caradwyn, and she goes, and then they disappeared into smoke and shadow.
Well, but we also find out that they're half wraith later. They're half Fae and half wraith, and that the wraiths are like nothing but shadow and mist is how they're described.
Oh, okay. So are they spies for Azriel? Could they be?
They are.
They are. Okay, so that was like confirmed.
I think that that Rhys and Az both kind of use them.
That's cool. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I think that was confirmed in this book, actually.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not catch that book.
Or maybe it's in another one, but it definitely has been brought up before that those two are like kind of spies on the side. Like I think they help Feyre, but they're also spies on the side.
Cool, I like that.
Yeah. But I know I am not even sure what to make of Azriel, and I kind of forget how little we hear about his family besides that they kept him in a room. And that his two older brothers burned him.
Like literally burned his hands.
But that's kind of it. And we know he gets dumped, on the Illyrians, but we don't find out much more than that. So yeah, I'm curious if there will be more that comes up of like his background at all.
Because both him and Cassian have 7 siphons. They're so powerful, and Rhys can't even contain his power in a siphon. I thought that was so interesting.
I had actually marked that too, that I thought it was interesting because he said that his power was basically like not compatible with it.
Yeah, which
was just different because it again not again.
Oops.
Actually, now I'm thinking down a totally different track. We learned through Feyre, you don't have to be Illyrian to have Illyrian wings in an Illyrian form.
You could be a shapeshifter.
So I wonder, I don't know. Well, we know his mom is from the story and whatever, right? But it just, I don't know. There are like some gaps there that he's not truly fitting in there. And maybe it's just because his power is different than a full Illyrian.
Yeah.
But it was interesting too how they described the siphons as the eye of some half slumbering beast. I thought that was interesting.
Oh my gosh, I did not catch that.
Yeah.
An eye of a slumbering beast.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I did catch that. They said that the siphons like basically channel this power into like a deadly killing power.
Well, it's already a deadly killing power, but they said it's like making it an arrow instead of like a buck shotgun or something like instead of spraying everywhere, it can be a little more tailored to one target.
Which like, do we actually see what that power does?
Yeah.
Do we?
Cassian uses it when he's helping save Loris.
What was it? Do you remember? I don't remember what it
taking
was.
people out of the sky. I don't really remember exactly how it works.
I was like, I would love to see that.
Instant killing power.
I know, just and you die.
Runs like Spider-Man. Pew, pew, pew.
That's the Illyrian siphons. Pew, pew, pew. I pulled my siphon at you. You die.
Maybe that's more Iron Man. Things like stick out.
That's like what I pictured them. Oh my gosh.
Well, I think that they use it
so
again,
funny.
and I think they use more of the killing power in ACOTAR, so we'll probably find out some
it
more.
Makes me so excited to read ACOTAR because I know that so much happens more with like their powers because they're forced to use them then. So yeah, I'm excited. 7 siphons each though.
Yeah.
Wow. I love when Feyre looks at Cassian and she goes, so like, do you have any special powers? He's like, nah.
He's like, I'm just really cool.
I'm just really cool.
I forgot how funny he is. Too.
Me too.
Also, I love, is it Kaven? Is that her name on TikTok? She wrote Forbidden Fate also. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
who does the skits?
Kaden.
I kind of forgot how accurate those skits were with how Azriel and Cassian behave until I reread this. I was like, oh, she's dead on. She's actually like my favorite creator.
She's so funny. Her and Stacey.
So I know.
We'll go back and forth.
They're funny.
And it's so funny because the way that she portrays Cassian and Feyre's relationship is so funny. Just like this big jock dude who just like, oh my God, he's so funny.
Yeah. Oh man, they crack me up.
Oh, but then he can also be serious too because when him and Feyre are fighting and she like burns through his pads.
And he's like, do what you gotta do.
He's like, I got it. And then he just like holds her. I was like, oh my God. She's
also how serious he was when he said to Nesta, like, I will protect you and your family and your village if these terrible human queens won't. That was very like serious moment too.
Oh, I loved that because like literally not 5 minutes earlier he was like, you sent a 14-year-old out into the woods and I do not like you. And he's like bows to her. All bow down to Nesta. He's like, I will protect you, Nesta.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Oh, but I want to talk a little bit more about Feyre and Feyre being made. Because there's 2 points where Feyre kind of gets past Rhys's shield.
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't notice or think that she should have. So the first is like pretty earlier in the book. She says that she like felt him in a serious, like they were having a serious conversation or argument. He was having heightened emotions. And he's like, yeah, you should not have felt that. But, you know, I guess the bond is evolving.
It does go both ways, I guess.
And then later when they hear the music that he sent her in the cell and he's like, you know, you were breaking and I didn't know how to save you, which, oh, my heart.
Oh, my God, my heart.
But she also says, oh, this is Valaris. Like, I saw Valaris. I saw an image of it. And he's like, I didn't send that to you.
Yeah.
And she was still like, human then.
I know.
So
brings
interesting.
The question, was she actually fully human?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how did she... Because I don't believe that it wasn't, like, accidental also sent an image and Rhys wasn't aware. Like, Rhys has such a tight hold on his powers and what he's sharing and stuff. So I feel like that was a pull from Feyre. And I'm just curious how she has some powers and, you know, maybe in the way that, like, the human queens have just winnowing powers or something.
Like, maybe she also had the mind
like
power.
A very small
like
amount
a daemati?
Oh, yeah,
like maybe she had a little bit of that power before she was made.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because we also see, that would actually be super interesting because we also see throughout many times of the book, even when she's human and when she's made, she has specific things that she says about people right when they meet. And so, like, one of the things she says about Azriel is, like, she talks about his shadows and she goes, oh, like, that's the one I need to watch out for. Which, like, one begs the question about Azriel. But, like, another point she says about Lucian, like, he already knows I'm lying. And it's like she has these notions about people right when she meets them. Like, maybe she had this big ability before she even was made.
Or at least, like, it was a hint of it there,
like an
right?
Instinct.
Yeah.
And so everything was amplified.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I thought that was interesting, especially that happened while she was human.
There's another point, too, in the book where she pushes into his mind, and it's before they even go to the summer court, and she knows she can, like, do that to people, like,
accidentally. She does it accidentally after she's done it to Lucian already.
Yes. And he goes, how did you get past my shields?
Yeah.
And he goes, have you ever done that before? She goes, well, I did a dilution. He was like, why would you do that? Why would you go inside that mind?
Yeah, I noticed that too. And he says that they're rare, like the daemati are rare, but not unheard of. And that's why you have to train against them. I don't remember any other daemati in. Do we know other ones that are in ACOTAR besides maybe Maeve and Throne of Glass?
Yeah, but not in A Court of Mist and Fury. Do you remember the Prince and Princess, Dragon and Branna in A Court of War and Ruin or Wings and Ruin?
I guess we're gonna find out in the next book. Oh, okay, yeah.
So they're just not in this book yet.
Okay,
it's only Feyre and Rhys. Which okay, so Rhys also says they have to protect against it, but like Feyre's very easily able to do it to everybody. Like she does it to Tamlin, she does it to Lucian, she does it to Tarquin. She does it to Rhys so easily, and like nobody ever questions it. Yeah. And I'm like, I thought you said people had to train against this. Like that's interesting.
She's just naturally perfect.
Exactly. Although I did kind of feel that way a lot when I was reading about Feyre. Like I forgot how strong she was, strong and brave and just like awesome. I forgot how much I loved her.
I know. I kind of did too. Maybe just ending on Silver Flames and having read it so long ago. I don't know. I didn't remember her being so badass.
I didn't either.
Like she does really stand up for herself too a lot.
She does.
And yeah, it's really it was nice. It was cool to see that. And it was cool to see her even say, like when she was training with her powers, that she was going to be unlike anybody else because she could use them together, like play with them together and learn how to do that.
Which I loved. And one of the parts that I hated about Tamlin was he was like, you don't have power. And then you find out that he was just not wanting her to train it because he didn't want her to like train and like be noticeable and be
didn't want it to look bad for him.
Right, exactly. And so she finds out that she has all these powers and she learns very quickly how much power she has. I loved that point when Rhys basically uses her as bait for the adder. And she like winnows and she gets all mad and she fights him and she like actually uses like a couple of her powers and he's like, good, let's keep going with that. I was like, wow, like she's actually learning like how much power she has. Finally.
Yeah. It is kind of funny when he eggs her on.
I know, because he's always like, get it, Feyre. It's like he knows exactly what she needs. And Feyre's the type of Fae to like, she needs to be pushed. She needs to like fight and like find out like the limit of her power. And Rhys is really the only one that does that.
Challenges her. Yeah. And then puts faith in her when she's trying to do it.
Exactly. And he's like, he gives her praise when she needs it, but he also challenges her when she needs it. Like Rhys is it.
Well, and that's why like how this book ends, right? When she goes back to Spring Court and like pretends that the bond is broken and all this jazz, and everybody else of the inner circle is freaking out and they're like, how could you let your wife do this? How could you let our High Lady do this? He's like, that's exactly it. Yeah. Our High Lady is choosing to do this for us. Yep. You have to put faith in her.
And oh, I loved that. So when she like glows and breaks like that bond, which like is a little interesting because we keep hearing about how these bonds, when you break them, there are consequences, but we don't really see many consequences when she breaks the bargain bond that they have. And I'm like, I don't think we hear much about it either.
Oh yeah, I kind of forgot that they say that there's consequences to it, to breaking it,
which is interesting.
But she wasn't the one that broke the bargain bond.
She was.
I thought the King of Hybern was.
No, she did, because she had bonds on two of her hands. She had the mating bond, which had the tattoos all the way up, and then she had the bargain bond on the other one.
Oh, so she pretended that it was the King of Hybern doing it?
Yes. Oh. And she did it. She broke the bond.
Oh, because I remember her saying that he thought he was going deep enough, but he was really only going as deep as the bargain bond. And so I thought it was still him doing it.
Right. I thought that in the beginning too, but when so before he even like begins to break the bond or anything, Feyre like looks at them, like looks at Tamlin, looks at Rhys, and she goes, I know what to do. And she starts doing the glow thing. And she like makes an explosion with her glowing powers.
Okay.
And she just like explodes.
Oh, gotcha.
And breaks her own bond.
I thought she did the glowing to break. I think I'm curious to turn back to it because I think she did the glowing to break the whatever was going on to prevent them from leaving. It was like all the other stuff that was like trapping their magic and stuff.
And while
it was
that was happening,
it was a second step because remember then she's like, oh, I'm no longer under Rhys's influence. She was pretending that she was breaking herself out of Rhys's influence, but not the bond, because then she goes to Tamlin. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how he did this to me. And then she turns to King of Hybern and is like, please break my bond. Please break it. So I think you're meshing them together. They're two separate things.
Okay. So I was mixing them up. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because I was like, where's the consequence? But also, is the King of Hybern going to have a consequence?
Yeah, I don't know. That I still think that the consequence I'm still curious about. But but she wasn't the one to break that. That was King of Hybern.
Good clarification. Because I was like, hold on, where's the consequence?
Hold up, wait a minute.
Hold
Sorry.
We literally did this.
Did we? Every time I hear somebody say hold up, that's the first thing I think.
I love it so much.
Oh man.
Well, so many thoughts on this first part of ACOMAF.
So many theories and things. So many good points of this book, but that means you're going to have to join us for part 2 if you want to hear the rest of our thoughts and theories of what's going to happen with the rest of the Sarah J. Maas universe.
Love it. Catch us next time.
Thanks.
Bye.